What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who's that Pokemon? It's
Savage. And we're back. One Piece 1006 is out. Yes, I know things look a little different. No, I didn't move. Just trying a new angle out, and I'm also going to be paring the collection down a bit. So be sure to check the description of every new video to see if I've put anything up on eBay, if you'd like to add it to your own collection and effectively support the channel. This chapter, we've got a lot to talk about, and I know that we, say that a lot here, but it's just literal this time. Not only because of the size of things that happened in this chapter, but also the amount of things that happened in this chapter, given that the past few chapters have had 12 to 14 pages apiece, and this was the first full, regular chapter in what feels like a long time. So there's just a lot to get into, and whereas a lot of chapters, and this is no disrespect to Oda, especially recently, have been building and setting up the last page, the big splash panel, or maybe the last 2 pages or something. This chapter had about 4 or 5 things in it that I feel will have ramifications for months, if not years to come, and that's what we need to get into today. Like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. So the gigantic question from last week was, who's coming to Egghead? We threw out a lot of names, but we did not call out individually Dory and Brogy. Now, when we had talked about if Shanks came, we did talk about that from the perspective of Dory and Brogy being with him, but that was not my favorite option. I said in the video what my top 5 was. Dory and Brogy were not there. So this is a classic case of love it when I'm right, love it even more when I'm wrong. But also this one, I don't know if I really love it that I'm wrong. I love it, but something's different about this. And we've talked about this before, where this is what Oda's been building up towards since the beginning of the story. It's what inspired him. Norse mythology, Vikings, the giants represent all of that. Elbaf represents all of that. So having Dory and Brogy come back in this big of a way really kind of is a sign that we are in the endgame. That this story is ending soon. And soon could be years, but after all of the talk about this being the final saga, 5 years, 5 years, 5 years, that's the boy who cried wolf. But seeing Dory and Brogy here really did kind of settle in for me that the end is near. So that's why it's bittersweet and why I'm like, I love this, but do I love it? I love it. The way they show up gassing Luffy, calling him the sun god, is wild. I mean, that's something that this entire arc has been building towards, letting everybody else and the world know, including us, that Luffy is a divine being now. He is in a upper echelon that we can't even comprehend. This is the god that the giants pray to. Now, whether or not they figured this out by looking at his wanted poster or talking to some of the 300-year-old people on Elbaf instead of, just Dory and Brogy's 160-year-old selves, no. I believe they got this information from Shanks. And I feel like Shanks has known about this the entire time. That he actually sought out this fruit on that government ship and was deliberately looking for the right person to eat it. Maybe he wanted to have it himself. Maybe he was looking for Ace. I don't think he was ever expecting Luffy to be that person, but once Luffy ate it, and the things that he said, which were the same things that Roger had said, which is what Shanks told Rayleigh in that little flashback that we got in chapter 506, 507 during the archipelago when they're all sitting with Rayleigh It all implies that there is a plan in place, that when they went to Laughtail, Roger, Rayleigh, Crocus, Shanks didn't go, but they learned something. They learned about this being that people have been waiting for. And one of the most important lines in this entire chapter is from Vegapunk, where he basically says, like, this is someone that people have been waiting centuries for. So, there's a lot of gas on Luffy. This is why Shanks gave up his arm. This is why Rayleigh trains Luffy. Comes out of retirement, shakes the dust off to make sure that this guy lives up to the prophecy. Luffy is the reason that all of them were too soon. Because Luffy wasn't born yet. Because they didn't know where the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika was at that time, probably. Maybe some schmo had it and had no inkling of drive or desire to save the world or do anything. It doesn't matter. Either way, the time is now, right? There's a fun little bit of math piece in this chapter, given that Brogy's birthday is February 1st, and this chapter came out right in that pocket. Just like last year when we got 1074, right in the pocket of Vivi's February 2nd birthday. This is all stuff that Oda does on purpose. You can't tell me otherwise. Just is what it is, and I love it. Bring it on. Next week is Kuma's birthday. What's Oda cooking? I don't know. But this chapter was a big deal for Bonney. Wow. She is going to be a top tier character as we start moving forward. I think that this is actually pushing forward the stocks for Bonney for Straw Hat, although I am still Team Bonney for Revolutionary Army. But it really works either way, because it's not like we're going to stop running into pacifistas, and it just depends on where is she more useful with the Straw Hats to take over, the pacifistas and turn them on the Marines whenever they're looking for Luffy and the gang, or as the Revolutionary Army goes and tries to stop coups all over the world, or even at Marijoa, is it more useful to have Bonney on the front lines there to control Kuma and kind of keep his memory alive in the Revolutionary Army? That's going to be the question. And then, if we get Vivi with the Niku, we can kind of feel like there's a piece of Kuma on the Straw Hat side anyway. But this is a trend and a trope that Oda has been recycling over the past 5 or so years, where, on this side, we were Team Tama for Nakama. I have always wanted an apprentice on the crew, and the similarities between Tama and Bonney now are insane, right? Because Tama was someone who also had the ability to control beings en masse, animals. We correctly predicted at the beginning of Act 1 that she was going to be instrumental by the time we got to the raid. She was. Oda spent a lot of time even dedicating a chapter title to Tama, giving the order. We also saw, within the past 365 days, Atlas kind of have that same Tama moment where she is screaming out and turning the pacifistas on their side. Saturn, of course, immediately switched that. But seeing Bonney do this is actually the most effective and best usage, which may seem like blasphemy coming from me after, all the Tama for Nakama stuff. But I mean, really, the ramifications here are way larger than Tama being able to control some beasts. They make a pit stop over at Ruskaina and Tama has to get some of those beasts, then, hey, that's crazy. Just the idea that Bonney can now control all of those Mark 3s, Mark 1s, all of them, it's so good, and it's so powerful, and it's so meaningful that out of all of the ideas that we all had at the beginning of Egghead of, is Dragon going to be the person that's above the Gorosei on top of the authority chip? I think a lot of conversations really did stem from there has to be somebody above the Gorosei. The Vegapunk wouldn't just give them total authority. Vegapunk's smarter than that, right? And he was, and I never heard anybody mention this, but it is the most emotional, the most meaningful version of that. That it isn't Dragon, but that it is his daughter, so that she never gets attacked by the face of her father. And if she joins the Revolutionary Army, it's essentially like Dragon was at the top anyway, because Bonnie's giving the orders and probably will be operating off of whatever Dragon is saying. Or if it is Luffy giving an order to her, that gasses up our boy too. I'm okay with either outcome. Bonney has finally realized that Luffy is Nico. We've been waiting for this, and I love this panel. I love this panel more than I love Bonney looking at the paw. I mean, it means something more to me personally because I've always had an image like that in my mind for one of my own stories, but it's just so beautiful. So well done. I love it. And there's even a little itty bitty panel of Kuma having a little spark as this is happening as well, implying that he is in there. I don't know if he can speak, but he's in there. And now that Luffy is back also, so is the ancient robot. So we're getting back into all of that. Is the ancient robot powered by the drums of liberation? It's possible. I mean, Vegapunk said that the ancient kingdom was something from the future. Like all of their technology was from the future. If Joy Boy was from the ancient kingdom and the ancient robot is from the ancient kingdom, then it all kind of moves hand in hand in that way. And we also need to get the Sunny off of Egghead. And the Vega Force 1 isn't going to do that. But the Vega Force 1 is based off of Tetsujin 28, aka Gigantor. And Gigantor was famously shown to carry warships. And even the anime and Oda gave the Vega Force 1 the same color scheme as Gigantor as well. They're wearing it really close to the vest here. But does the ancient robot replace the Vega Force 1 and carry the Sunny off of Egghead? Is Brook accidentally driving the Sunny to the ancient robot with Lilith? It's very possible. Alternatively, we also have Dory and Brogy, and they're huge. Could they just, in the palm of their hands, carry the Sunny and get it out of here? Probably. I'm okay with that too. Either way, we're getting out of here. Vegapunk's been stabbed. Is it fatal? That's the question. I think that there is a possibility for it to be. It would be nice if we got a Chopper feat and Chopper was able to heal Vegapunk, but I think what we really need is a death. We're doing a lot of cues from Enies Lobby and what is actually going to be the Mary of this arc. We had talked about it being Kuma, and it still could be. Kuma's, I don't think he's getting out of here. But I think that Kuma dies on Egghead, and Vegapunk comes with us on the way to Elbaf, but may die en route or when we land, and then we do a Viking funeral. Maybe, I was gonna say just for Vegapunk, but now that I was talking about Kuma, what if we did a Viking funeral for Kuma? Oh man, that hits even more. I like that. Man, I like that. Yeah. And then Bonnie's with them as well. We really get to lay this man down. Yeah, we're doing a Viking funeral for Kuma. Oh, man. And the Nikyu goes onto the tangerine tree. That's great. I really love that. But we're here to talk about Vegapunk right now. Frankie, I believe, is the person who needs to carry Vegapunk's will. Vegapunk wants to essentially create the internet and be able to send a message across the world. I think that Frankie may try to pick up that slack. And we've talked about what that means and all of that and how it ties into Laugh Tale. Not going to get into that here. Let's let this cook a little bit. And if it seems like we're going down that route, then I'll get back to expanding further on that idea. But I do think that if Vegapunk dies, or is dying, it is a fantastic opportunity for him to do one of the single greatest lore dumps in the entire series as we're escaping to the crew. Dies, but he gives us what we need. And then if we run into Saul also on Elbaf, he knows Vegapunk, it may be his idea to do the Viking funeral for them. Oh man. And that's going to wrap things up, guys. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel, all of our members. It is so appreciated. We are on break this week, and I guarantee you Guarantee you, it's already done. The break week video will be the Cross Guild Davy backfight video that I have been promising for a year. Over a year. Yeah, probably over a year. But I'm really excited for everybody to see the fun artwork that was done for it. And it's a fun video. It's definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite. It's definitely my favorite idea, because it incorporates so many of my favorite characters. So that's going to be fun. Look out for that. Like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling the vibe.
Stay tuned. I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.